I died choking on my own vomit in a luxury penthouse bathtub, the champagne flute I'd been handed still clutched in my spasming fingers. It wasn't an accident. Mark had laced it with enough fentanyl to drop an elephant, his smile as fake as the Rolex on his wrist when he watched me convulse. For the company, he'd whispered, like it was a boardroom merger, not murder. But death's cold grip snapped like a bad Wi-Fi signal, and I jerked awake in my cramped Mission District studio, sweat-soaked sheets tangled around me. The date on my phone screaming 2020, 5 years before the poison party. My heart hammered like a glitchy algorithm, every nerve firing with the ghost pain of that final betrayal. Mark Ellis, my co-founder, my lover, the golden boy of our AI startup, had sold me out to the highest bidder, a shady venture capital firm with ties to black market data harvesting. He'd framed me for embezzlement, leaked my confession emails, forged. Of course, and when the feds closed in, he pushed me off the ledge. Not literally, but close enough. The board ousted me. The press crucified me as the greedy bitch who tanked a billion-dollar dream. And in the end, alone in that tub with a bottle of Dom and a belly full of pills he slipped me, I chose the quick way out. Or so he thought. Now, here I was, Sarah Goddamn Hayes, 28 again, staring at the unsigned term sheet for our seed round. My hands shook as I touched the paper, the ink still wet from yesterday's negotiations. Mark's signature looped confidently at the bottom. But mine? Blank. This was it, the fork in the road where trust turned to arsenic. I could sign, build the empire, and let him bury me. Or I could rewrite the code. Vengeance wasn't a debug, it was a full system wipe. And this time, I'd back up my own damn files. The Mission District buzzed outside my window like it always did, tacos sizzling on food trucks, graffiti-tagged walls vibrating with reggaeton bass, the scent of weed and espresso cutting through the fog. San Francisco, 2020, pre-pandemic haze. When tech bros still high-fived over oat milk lattes and unicorns roamed the valley like they owned the pasture. I was the unicorn then, or so they said. Sarah Hayes, the prodigy dropout from Stanford who'd coded an AI that predicted consumer trends with eerie accuracy, 87% hit rate on everything from TikTok virals to stock dips. Mark and I met at a hackathon in Palo Alto, sparks flying over lines of Python and cheap IPAs. He was the charmer, the networker. I was the engine. Together, we launched Predictify, and the VCs circled like sharks at a chum bucket. But I knew the rot started early. That first wire transfer, the prototype fund that vanished into his personal expenses. I'd confronted him once, half laughing over Thai takeout in this very apartment. Babe, it's for us, he'd said, pulling me onto the couch, his hands everywhere, but honest. I let it slide. Love's a hell of a blindfold. By round B, the discrepancies piled up, offshore accounts in his name, client data funneled to third parties I didn't recognize. I buried it, told myself it was paranoia, that building something bigger than us meant swallowing the grit. My mistake. The big one. The secret I'd carried like a kidney stone? It wasn't just his theft, it was mine. 3 years in, desperate for a breakthrough after a dry spell, I'd hacked into a rival servers, nothing major. Just scraping anonymized datasets to train our model. Ethical gray zone? Hell, it was felony territory. But it worked. Predictify surged. Valuations tripled. Mark found out. Of course. Used it as leverage when the VCs came knocking with their poison pill, hand over control or face the music on my little shortcut. He chose the music, sang to the feds about my crimes, painted himself the innocent savior. I took the fall. Lost everything, my code, my name, my life. Rage boiled up now, hot as the kettle whistling on my hot plate. I slammed it off, poured the water down the sink. No more tea parties with the devil. First move, audit everything. I booted up my laptop, fingers flying over keys like old friends. The apartment was a time capsule, posters of Ada Lovelace and black market GPUs stacked in the corner. My unwashed laundry spilling from the hamper like forgotten dreams. I pulled up our shared drive, eyes narrowing at the folders Mark had organized.
Sloppy.
He'd buried a duplicate ledger in a subfolder labeled Legacy Code, but I remembered the path. There it was, transfers to a Cayman account, $2.3 million siphoned over 18 months.
Proof.
Not enough for court, not yet, but enough to start the unraveling. I needed allies. Not the fake ones. The ones who'd ghosted me in the last timeline. Real ones. I texted Lena, my old roommate from the hackerspace, the queer coder with a mohawk and a moral compass sharper than her switchblade. Coffee?
Now.
Got dirt that sticks. She replied in seconds. Divisadero? 10 minutes. Lena was the one who'd warned me about Mark early on. Dude's got shark eyes, but I'd waved it off. Not this time. Divisadero was alive with the morning rush, baristas slinging pour-overs, cyclists dodging potholes, the air crisp with eucalyptus from the nearby park. Lena slid into the booth across from me, her ink-sleeved arms folding over a dog-eared copy of Neuromancer. You look like you saw a ghost.
Sarah. Spill?
I slid her my tablet, the ledger glowing like contraband. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. Holy shit. This is embezzlement gold.
Why now?
You signed the sheet yesterday. Change of heart. I cut in, sipping my black coffee, bitter as regret. Mark's playing us.
I need you to mirror this drive.
Off-site.
And they.
His personal stuff. Emails. Texts. Whatever. She leaned back, pierced eyebrow arching. You're talking revenge porn for spreadsheets. You sure? This could torch the whole startup. Torch it my way, or watch him burn us all. My voice was steel. But inside, the old Sarah whimpered. The one who dreamed of changing the world. Not just settling scores. But dreams die hard, grudges die harder. Lena nodded, pocketing the drive.
In.
But we do it clean.
No vigilante bullshit.
Famous last words. Back home, I prepped for the pitch meeting tomorrow. The VCs, slate benchers, led by that smug prick Harlan Crow, expected the full court press. In the last life, I dazzled them with demos. Mark sealing the deal with his bro handshake. This time, I'd plant seeds of doubt. Subtle hacks, anonymous tips to their inboxes about irregularities in our books. Time to drop post-meeting. Nothing traceable. Just enough to make them chew their nails. Night fell. The city lights smearing like wet paint through my blinds. I couldn't sleep. Flashes of the penthouse. The burn in my throat. Mark's voice cooing shh. It's for the best. I paced, plotting. Step 2. Isolate him. I'd feign the doting partner. Lure him into overconfidence. Then strike. But doubt crept in. What if I was wrong? What if the hack, my hack, was the real poison, And exposing him exposed me? Screw it. Vengeance wasn't clean, it was a street fight in stilettos. By dawn, I was suited up, tailored black blazer, pencil skirt, red soles clicking like countdowns. Mirror Sarah stared back, fierce, fractured, reborn. You got this, I whispered. But the hook in my gut twisted. This wasn't just payback, it was resurrection. And the dead don't stay buried quiet. The Slate Ventures office loomed in Soma. All glass and ego. The kind of place where dreams get funded or flushed. Harlan Crow greeted us in the lobby. His handshake limp as overcooked noodles. Eyes flicking to Mark like he was the main course. Sarah. Mark, thrilled. Your AI's the next big thing. Let's make magic. Magic.
Right.
We filed into the conference room. Projections humming to life on the wall. Charts spiking like heart monitors on meth. I took the lead. Voice steady as I walked them through the demo. Predictify doesn't guess trends, it owns them. Watch. The model chewed data. Spat out eerily spot-on forecasts. NFT hype peaks. EV stock surges. Gasps from the associates. Nods from Crow. Mark beamed beside me, arm brushing mine in that possessive way. I wanted to vomit. Q&A hit like a pitchfork. Scalability, one suit asked. Data ethics, another probed. Eyes on me. I fielded smooth, but inside, alarms blared. That's when my anonymous drop hit, buzzers on their phones. Subtle chimes. I caught Crow's glance at his screen, brow furrowing. Excuse me, he muttered, stepping out. Mark shot me a look, concern, suspicion, everything good. Babe. Peachy, I purred, foot tapping under the table. When Crow returned, his smile was tighter. Impressive. But we'll need deeper diligence. Irregularities in the prelims. Mark's face paled. Irregularities? Must be a glitch. We'll circle back. Meeting adjourned. Handshakes colder than fisherman's wharf fog. In the elevator, Mark exploded. What the fuck? Sarah? You tank us. Me? I laughed, sharp as shattered glass. Check your mirrors.
Mark.
Or better yet, your Caymans. He froze, eyes widening like I'd slapped him. What do you know? Everything. The doors dinged open. I stepped out, leaving him gaping. Round one, mine. But victory tasted like ash. Back in the apartment, Lena waited with takeout burritos and an encrypted thumb drive.
Dug deep.
Your boy's not just skimming. He's selling user data to Cambridge Analytica remnants. Shady AF. And get this, he's got a side piece. Some intern at Slate. Harlan's niece. Twist of the knife. Not just betrayal for cash, for her. The rage morphed.
Sharpened.
Print it all. We're going public selectively. Lena hesitated. Sarah, this is scorched earth. You'll burn bridges. Your bridges. Good.
Lecturing shot.
But as she left, the weight settled. The secret, my hack, loomed like a guillotine. If Mark flipped, he'd drag me down too. Time to confess? Or double down? That night, I dreamed of the tub again. Water rising, Mark's face dissolving into mine. Who was the villain here? By morning, decision crystallized. All in. I scheduled a date with Mark at our old spot, the rooftop bar overlooking the bay. Sunset drinks. City sprawl at our feet.
I de confront.
Record. Release.
Clean kill.
He showed. Tie loosened. Charm dialed to 11. Babe. About today, misunderstanding. We'll fix it. I clinked glasses. Phone hidden in my lap. App running. Fix? Like you fix the books? Or the data sales? His smile cracked. Sarah, you're stressed. Let's save it. I know about the intern. The ledgers. The whole con. I leaned in, voice low. You killed me for this.
Mark.
In another life. He blinked, then laughed, nervous, then cruel. Killed you? Dramatic much? You were always the liability. That hack of yours? Amateur hour. I covered for you. And you repay with paranoia? The words landed like punches. Covered? He'd used it as a noose. Prove it. Walk away now. Give me the company. His eyes darkened. The shark surfacing. Or what? You leak and we both drown. Exactly. Stalemate. But as he stood, chair scraping, I hit send on the partial files to Lena, to a journalist contact from my pre-death Rolodex. Enough to sting, not sink. He lunged, grabbing my wrist. You bitch, security hauled him off. Bar erupting in whispers. I walked out into the night, free but fractured. The headlines would hit by dawn. Predictify co-founder accused of fraud amid scandal. Round 2, check. But the fallout crashed like a server farm. Slate pulled funding. Board called emergency. I faced them alone in that sterile room. Projections mocking me with plummeting valuations. Sarah, explain, the chairwoman demanded, her pearls like new snots. I did, half-truths. My hack omitted. Marks the snake. Here's the proof. Gasps.
Nods.
They ousted him. Installed me as interim CEO. Victory lap? More like tightrope over lava. Lena threw a not-dead-yet party in the hackerspace. Neon lights. Synthwave pulsing. Cheap beer flowing. To Sarah, Phoenix Edition, she toasted. Crowd cheering. I smiled, but the high fizzled fast. Mark's text flooded. You'll regret this. We both go down. Then radio silence. Too quiet. The decision that haunted. Go nuclear. Leak my hack confession preemptively. Frame it as youthful mistake. Beg forgiveness? Or bury it deeper? Risk the skeleton clawing out? Controversial as hell. Admit and maybe redeem. Or lie and invite the devil's bargain. I chose the gray. Hired a fixer. ex-NSA type named Ruiz. To scrub traces of the hack from servers. Cost me half my severance. But clean slate. Almost. Weeks blurred. Crisis meetings. Press spins. The grind of solo CEO. Predictify stabilized. Pivoted to ethical AI, irony thick as fog. I dated casually. A barista with tattoos and no agenda. But trust? Shattered like my old wine glass. Every laugh echoed hollow. Then the twist. Subpoena. Feds. Not slate. Mark had flipped. Sung about my sins to cut a deal. The hack, traces Ruiz missed. My office raid was a circus. Agents and windbreakers. Laptops seized. Me in cuffs for the perp walk. Cameras flashed. Headlines screamed, AI darling Sarah Hayes busted for corporate espionage. Rock bottom. Redux. But this time,
No to what it.
in holding. Lena bailed me out, eyes fierce. We fight. Your call. Jail smelled like regret and bleach. I paced the cell, plotting the impossible, turn the tables on the system itself. Mark steal? Leverage. I lawyered up, cut my own plea, testify against Slate's dirty laundry, Harlan's ties to data brokers. The whole rotten ecosystem. Controversial? Armageddon. I'd expose not just him, but the Valley's underbelly. The VCs who'd feast on startups like vultures. The hearing was theater, fluorescent buzz, wooden benches creaking under tech elite. Mark testified first. Polished suit. Crocodile tears. Sarah was unstable. The hack was her idea. My turn. I stood, chains rattling like applause. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ellis isn't the victim, he's the architect. But the real crime? It's the game. I unloaded ledgers, data sales.
Você complicite.
Gasps rippled. Harlan's face purpled. The judge banged gavel, but the seed was planted. Twist hit mid-trial. Evidence drop. Anonymous. Ruiz?
No, me.
From the future? Files proving Mark's murder plot. Timestamps from 2025.
Impossible.
But they're audio of him bragging to the intern. Shield. Problem solved.
How?
Glitch in the Matrix. Or my ghost hack. Didn't matter. Jury ate it up. Mark crumbled. Deal revoked. Charges flipped. Harlan indicted for racketeering.
Me?
Reduced sentence, community service, probation. Predictify? Sold to a nonprofit. My code open-sourced. Ethical win. But the cost? Isolation. Lena drifted, too much heat. The barista ghosted. I moved to Oakland. Smaller apartment. Quieter nights. Vengeance tasted sweet, then stale. Reborn. Yes, but scarred. Staring at the bay for my fire escape, I wondered, was it worth it? The dead don't gloat. They just echo. Yet in the quiet, code called again. New project. AI for truth. Unmasking lies before they fester. Sarah Hayes. Version 2.0. Not perfect, but unpoisoned. And if shadows stir, I'll rewrite them too. The echo of that courtroom gavel still rattles in my skull some nights, like a bad loop in a neural net that won't terminate. I'd won. Mark in orange jumpsuit. Harlan's empire crumbling under SEC probes. My name whispered in boardrooms, not as villain, but vigilante. But victory's a double-edged algorithm. It optimizes for one goal, leaves the rest in chaos. Predictify dissolved into the ether. My baby carved up and donated like a tax write-off. I walked free, technically, but probation chained me tighter than any cell. No travel.
No anesikel coding.
Weekly check-ins with a shrink who eyed me like I was the glitch. Oakland welcomed me with open arms and higher rents, Victorian row houses painted in defiant murals, the hum of BART trains underscoring every thought. I crashed in a sublet off Telegraph, a shoebox with peeling wallpaper and a view of Lake Merritt where joggers pretended the world wasn't on fire. 2021 now. Pandemic raging outside, but inside my head, full-blown war. I'd avenged the death that hadn't happened yet, but the what-if swarmed like debug errors. What if I'd signed that sheet? What if I'd never hacked? What if Mark wasn't the monster, just the mirror? First order, survival. Probation officer. A no-nonsense Latina named Carla with a stare that could compile C++ from scratch, laid down the law over lukewarm coffee in a downtown Starbucks. Stay clean.
Emmett. Hayes.
One toe out of line. You're back inside. I nodded, palms sweaty on the cup.
Clean. Ha.
My laptop monitored. Of course, hummed with freelance gigs, benign data viz for nonprofits. Nothing that smelled like prophecy. But at night, when the city exhaled, I fired up the air-gapped rig Ruiz had smuggled me. A beast of black market parts that whispered secrets without phoning home. That's how I found the thread. Mark's trial had unearthed more than his skeletons. It cracked the Valley's foundation. Slate Ventures wasn't a lone wolf. Tendrils snaked to big tech. Politicians. Even a senator from Cali with a fondness for offshore yachts. Harlan Crow, rotting in pretrial detention, had some partial tunes to lighten his load. But the full playlist?
Buried.
My air-gapped dove deep. Dark web forums. Leaked emails. Blockchain traces of laundered funds. The big secret? A cartel, not drugs. Data. VCs hoarding predictive models to manipulate markets. Elections. You name it. And me? I'd been the canary. Chirping warnings they silenced. Rage reignited. But smarter now. No lone wolf charges. I needed a pack. Enter Jax, a whistleblower I'd crossed paths with in the hackerspace days. Ex-Google. Blacklisted for exposing ad-tracking horrors. He ran a collective called TruthNet from a warehouse in West Oakland, servers stacked like Jenga, coders hunched over energy drinks, walls papered in redacted FOIAs. Lena vouched, and I showed up at midnight, rain slicking my hoodie, nerves jangling like loose cables. Jax was a lanky scarecrow with wire-rimmed glasses and a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, greeting me with a fist bump and a Red Bull. Sarah Hayes. The AI Avenger. Heard you danced with the devil and stepped on his toes. More like drop-kicked his wallet, I quipped. Scanning the room. Monitors flickering with global feeds. A whiteboard scrawled with conspiracy webs. Need your eyes on something big. Valley's data lords. He grinned. Feral. Join the club. We've got a Oppo research on Crow ties to a shell corp. Meridian Holdings. Funds dark money packs. Sways midterms. Your Predictify scrape? They wanted it for voter psych ops. Chills. My mistake, hack had brushed their empire. I'm in. But ground rules, no innocent scorched.
Deal.
But it's dirty work. Sarah. Controversies come standard. We dove in. Nights blurring into code marathons. Jax's crew. Diverse as a Bay Area census. Non-binary devs from Lagos. Grizzled sysadmins from the Rust Belt. A trans activist hacking for trans rights data.
Ifitod.
The ex-CEO with blood on her bites. But my model's remnants proved gold.
Irrebuilt av lite version.
Ethical this time. Predictify 2.0. Tuned to sniff corruption patterns. First hit. Meridian slush fund to a 2022 Senate race. Buying airtime that buried a climate bill. The high was electric. Better than any VC buzz. But shadows lengthened. Carla upped check-ins, sniffing my freelance stress. And Mark, from his cell. He smuggled notes via a crooked guard. You think you're free? We're the same. Sarah. Rotting. Psychological jab. Or warning. I ignored. But sleep fractured. Dreams of tubs and timestamps bleeding into code. Decision point. Leak the Meridian files now. Mid-scandal. Or wait for ironclad. Controversial as hell. Timing it to tank the election could be seen as electioneering. Felony bait. Jax pushed. Strike hot. Momentum's our server farm. I wavered. Ghosts whispering caution. In the end, Gray won again. Partial drop. Redacted docs to ProPublica. Headlines erupted. VC firm linked to election meddling. Predictify founder hints at more. Fallout? Frenzy. Feds circled TruthNet. Subpoenas raining like San Francisco drizzle. Jax went underground. Warehouse raided. Servers seized. But our backups? Airtight.
Me?
Questioned. But probation held. My hints too vague for cuffs. The senator dropped out. Bill passed narrow.
Small win.
Cosmic scale. But the twist coiled tighter. During a dead-of-night sift, my model pinged anomaly. Access logs from 2025. Future echoes. Pulling files I'd leaked post-death. Heart stuttered. Was I looping? Or was someone gaming the system from inside? Paranoia or prescience? I confided in Jack's over burner phones from a Fruitvale taqueria. Tacos cooling untouched. Time travel bullshit, he scoffed.
Nah.
Deep fake traces. But if it's real, you're the key. Keep digging. Dig I did. Unearthing the core, Meridian wasn't just VC. It was a syndicate. Harlan the front for a reclusive billionaire. Elias Voss, ghost in the machine. Funding AI arms races under humanitarian guises. Voss's play? Weaponized prediction for control. Stock crashes engineered. Uprisings forecasted and quashed. And Mark? His pawn. Recruited post-hack to infiltrate startups like mine. Rage peaked.
Pure fusion.
No more half measures. I greenlit the full leak. Unredacted. Timed to Voss's quarterly summit in Napa. Controversial? Nuclear. It'd expose not just crooks, but implicate half the Valley CEOs.
Pauls.
Even my old Stanford profs. Collateral? Inevitable. But inaction? That's how empires eat souls. Prep was frenzy. Encrypted drops. Dead man switches. Alibis layered like VPNs. Carla cornered me pre-drop. Eyes sharp. You're glowing wrong.
Haze.
Spill or I flag. Trust me, I lied. Flashing a smile. Just closing loops.
Summit Eve.
Napa Valley aglow with fairy lights and Merlot lies. Voss's chateau a fortress of excess. Helipads humming with private jets. I wasn't invited. But drones were cheap. And Jax's rig hacked their Wi-Fi like butter. Feeds streamed to my laptop. Toasts to disruptive philanthropy. Backroom deals whispered over caviar.
Drop hit at midnight.
Files flooding WikiLeaks mirrors. Twitter ablaze, Valley Viper trending. Memes of Harlan as cartoon snake. Chaos cascaded. Voss's stock tanked 40%. SEC helicopters chopping air by dawn. I watched from my fire escape. Wine glass trembling, not Dom. Just $2 Chuck. Elation. Then emptiness. How many careers cratered? How many innocents collateral? Twist detonated via email. Voss's sigil in the sender. Impressive. Yes.
Haze.
But loops close. See you in the next iteration. Attachment. A video.
Me.
In the Penthouse Tub. 2025. This timeline's future? Fentanyl bubbles. My eyes glazing. Mark's voice. Off-screen. For the company. Timestamp. Next year. Horror rooted. The rebirth wasn't one-off, it was a cage. Voss, he engineered it? Quantum bullshit.
All AI sim?
My model. Twisted. I smashed the laptop. Shards cutting palm. Blood dripped. Real as rain. Jax called it Dawn. You're viral.
Sarah.
Hero or hacker? Pick your poison. Poison. Always. But surrender? Not my code. I rallied. Called Ruiz for a meet in a deserted BART lot. Fog cloaking us like accomplices. Need off-grid. Full wipe. Identity. Traces.
All.
He nodded. Smoke curling from his blunt. New life costs old ones. Sure. Decision yes. Controversial to vanish mid-glory? To allies. Betrayal. But survival's the ultimate hack. By week's end, Sarah Hayes was a ghost, probation transferred anonymously, TruthNet crediting source X. I resurfaced in Portland, rainy haven for reinventions, barista gig at a queer coffee house. Alias Riley, coding pro bono for mutual aid. Jax checked and coded, Voss cornered. But slithering. Mark? Suicided in cell, staged. Whispers said. Nights by the Willamette. I code small. Apps for displaced coders. Truthbots for local rags. The echo fades. But vigilance hums. Reborn again? Maybe. But this time, I write the loop. Or break it. Portland's rain is a different beast from San Francisco's, less spiteful mist. More relentless patter. Like the city weeping for its own reinventions. I, Riley now, or whatever mask fits the day, poured lattes at Brewed Awakening. A cozy hole-in-the-wall off Burnside where the Wi-Fi was free, but the vibes were paywalled by community. Steaming oat milks. Chalkboard specials scrawled with queer puns. Patrons nursing heartbreaks over herbal teas. It was camouflage. Perfect for a woman who toppled empires and now dodged her own shadow. Probation commuted after the Voss fallout. Cooperation with authorities, they called it. Winking at my anonymous tips. Free. On paper. Haunted. In pixels. 2 months in. The itch returned. Not vengeance that ember banked low, but curiosity. The coder's curse. My air-gapped lingered in a storage unit under false name. Dusty but dormant. I'd resisted. Filling days with bike rides through Forest Park. Ferns brushing calves like forgotten friends. Evenings with a rotating cast of dates. A poet with calloused fingers. A DJ spinning ambient sets in lofts that smelled of sage and solder. Trust flickered. Fragile as a prototype. But Portland's polycule pulse coaxed it alive. Until the anomaly. It started with a glitch in the shop's POS system. Nothing major. A rounding error on tips that echoed my old model's quirks. I fixed it idle-handed. Lines of script flowing like muscle memory. Then the pull. Late-night scrolls on burner tabs. Valley News filtered through VPN veils. Voss's chateau raided. Assets frozen.
But the man?
Vanished. A ghost in witness protection or worse. A private island with quantum shields. Mark's suicide ruled suspicious. No note. Just a scrawled loop on his mirror in lipstick. Hers?
Mine?
Chills spidered. Jax pinged via signal. Avatar, a pixelated crow. Riley missed you at the after-party. Voss slipped. But echoes.
Your future vid.
Circulating dark pools. Quantum play?
Meet. Quantum.
The word lodged like bad code. I biked to the meet. Powell's city of books at dusk, shelves towering like server racks. The scent of ink and ambition thick. Jax waited in the sci-fi annex. Nose in a dog-eared snow crash. Hoodie blending with the hipster horde. You're a legend. Or a liability, he said,
No hello.
sliding me a USB etched with feathers. Files from the raid. Voss wasn't fronting data cartel, building it. Your Predictify? Prototype for his Oracle project. AI that predicts rebellions, including personal ones. Rebirths. I snatched the drive, pulse syncing to the cafe jazz humming overhead. Rebirths? As in
Sims.
loops. He poached DARPA tech, runs scenarios on captured coders' brains, non-consensual neural mapping. You died in one, glitched out, woke in the fork. Mark was handler, Harlan financier. You're the escaped variable, horror cascaded, colder than Willamette fog. My death. The timestamps, not fate, but Voss's vicious VR. Testing vendettas for profit? Control? Why me? Your hack. First breach in their firewall. They recruited Mark to reel you in, but you looped rogue. Jax's eyes. Fever bright. Files have blueprints. Shut it down. We end the game.
We?
The pull of purpose. Treacherous as old lovers. I pocketed the drive. Nodded.
In.
But Portland stays home base. No heroics. Famous last code. Back in my studio, tiny, with a Murphy bed and a window box of basil wilting from neglect, I plugged in. Blue light bathed the walls. The files unfolding like forbidden scrolls, schematics for neural interfaces, simlogs timestamped to my death, even a profile, subject haze. High resilience factor. Recommend termination loop. Termination. Rage surged. Clean now. Surgical. I rebuilt the model. Predictify Oracle Buster. Cross-refed with Jax's data. Patterns emerged. Voss's bolt holes. Encrypted comms bouncing from Seychelles to Silicon. First strike, subtle. A worm in his dark pool trades. Siphoning funds to whistleblower NGOs. Controversial? Market manipulation. White hat style. Carla, retired from my file, would have scoffed. But she was SF Ghosts. The crew reformed virtual. Jax on crypto traces. A Lagos dev cracking encryptions. The trans activists seeding social psyops. Nights dissolved into screens. Coffee cold. Takeout wrappers piling like air logs. Dates paused. Work crunch. I lied to the poet. His hurt eyes a small cut. Focus narrowed. Vasa Summit. Not Napa Glitz, but a black site in Nevada, disguised as a data center. Oracle Conclave invites watermarked with my old sigil. Infiltration? Insane. But the decision loomed. Gray as Pearl District drizzle. Go solo. Risk recapture. Or rally and risk them.
Choses hybrides drone swarm.
Remote hacks. Me as ghost in the machine. Prep consumed. Custom payloads. Faraday pouches. A disguise kit swiped from a theater supply in Alberta Arts. Twist mid-build. Anomaly ping. My laptop. Air-gapped. Lit with incoming. Haze. Join or loop eternal.
E ponto vu. Atachamente. Sing footage.
This timeline me. In Portland rain. Bike skidding. Truck looming. Future death. Timestamp next week. Panic scripted flight response. I smashed the rig again. But Jax pulled backups.
He's baiting.
Push through. Push we did. Conclave Eve. Nevada desert baking under starless sky. My drone fleet, cheap quadcopters modded with jammers, swarmed the perimeter. Feeds streamed. Voss. Silver Fox in tactical chic. toasting handlers around a holographic map. Haze variable neutralized. Next phase, scale. My worm hit then. Funds evaporating. Alarms wailing. Chaos. Guards scrambling. Voss barking into comms. But the real payload. Data dump. Oracle blueprints, viral bound. Tagged and the loop. Voss's face filled my screen. Eyes locking through pixels. Predictable. Sarah. But loops teach. You can't kill the architect. Screen glitched my apartment. Live. Door creaking open. Shadow slipping in. Heart seized. I bolted. Grabbing go bag. Biking into night. Tires slicked blacktop. Rain sheeting. That truck's ghost roaring. Horn blared real. Swerving cab. I dodged. Crashing curb. Knees barking gravel. Safe house. Jax's crash pad in Eugene. A trailer park camouflaged by pines. He patched me. Voice tight. Dump worked. Feds swarming Nevada. But Voss? Slippery. Your feed compromised. He's close.
Close.
The word itched. Over cheap whiskey. Files reparsed. Voss's neural map. My brain scanned during the original hack. He had the keys. Rebirth wasn't escape. It was his playground. Forking timelines to perfect control. Mark's murder? Test run. My vengeance? Data point. Decision crystallized. Sharp as shattered drive. Confront. Not digital, flesh. Voss's trail led to a Vancouver safe house. Post-raid bolt hole.
Borderhop via smugglers van.
Heart-pounding checkpoints. Canada welcomed with Tim Hortons and taunting normalcy. Safe house. Waterfront loft. Glass walls mocking exposure.
Escaled via Skype.
Rain slick. Pulse thunder. Inside, Voss. Alone. Sipping scotch.
Back to door.
Enter. Yes.
Haze.
Dramatics suit you. I froze. Pistol, borrowed from Jax, steady. Game over. Elias. Blueprints burning your empire. He turned. Smile avuncular. Eyes voids. Empire? Vision. Your loops prove it. Humanity craves prediction. Fears chaos. Join co-architect. Temptation whispered. Power. Absolution. Rewrite deaths. Mine included. Controversial apex. Ally with the monster. Or pull trigger. Gray infinite.
No.
Finger tightened. But glitch, room spun. Walls pixelating.
Sim?
Real? Voss laughed. Choose wrong. Loop resets.
Bang.
Or did it? Darkness swallowed. Rebirth tugging. The bang echoed. But instead of blood or blackout, it dissolved into code, lines cascading, errors compiling into light. I gasped awake in the loft. Voss gone. Pistol cold in hand. A single casing on the floor. Sim bleed? Or mercy glitch? Vancouver dawn bled pink through windows. Fairy horns lowing like wounded beasts. No body. No sirens, just a note on the bar. Loop broken.
Choose wisely.
E to fee. And coordinates. An address in Big Sur. California. Invitation or trap. The architect's gambit. Portland called. Loose ends. Jax's worry text stacking like buffer overflows, but momentum overrode. I drove south. Rentals Civic hugging curves. Pacific crashing below like unsent rage. Big Sur's cliffs mocked mortality. Redwood's sentinel to secrets. The address, Cliffside Estate, Modernist glass perched like a raven. No guards.
Door ajar.
Inside. Voss. Frail in armchair. For drip whispering. Monitors beeping soft. Cancer, he rasped. No smile now. Stage 4. Oracle predicted, ironic. No? The loops. My folly. Desperation to outrun death. I lowered the pistol, Jax's. Unregistered folly. Why me? The Sims. The death's sick game. Game? Salvation. He coughed. Screen flickering with timelines. Forks of my life. Mark's betrayal branching infinite. You glitched out. Resilience anomaly. Broke the containment.
Mark tried to contain.
Failed. Contempt curdled. You killed me. For data. Sim death. Real enough to teach. His eyes. Watery now. Join. Finish it. Ethical oracle. Predict plagues. Famines save billions. Temptation redux. Velvet noose. Power to rewrite not just mine, but world's wounds. Controversial zenith. Forgive the devil. Wield his forge, or shatter. The grace sang siren. Half measures built this hell. I sat. Hours bleeding. Stories spilled. Voss's youth. DARPA darling turned recluse. Losing wife to unpredictable aneurysm. Oracle born of grief. Twisted by greed. Harlan's poison. My hack.
Catalyst.
Exposing his hubris. You're the variable that variables, he wheezed. Dusk fell. Waves gnawing rock. Decision merge.
But mine.
I take it. But open source. No kings. He nodded.
Weak.
Transferring keys, neural codes. Server maps.
Wise.
Loop ends. He flatlined at moonrise. Monitors flatlining symphony. I called it an anonymous suicide. Note forged. End of prediction. Feds would chase ghosts. I'd be wind. Back north. Jax met in a Salem diner. Pie cooling untouched. Voss. Ghosted. I slid him partial keys. Build with me. Ethical. Open. He grinned.
Crow-like.
Phoenix Crew 2.0. Crew reformed. Global now. Lagos to Berlin. Coding the Oracle's heart. Predictify global. Forked for good. Predictions for aid drops. Climate models. Even personal loops. Therapy sims for trauma. My contribution? The glitch code. Resilience baked in. No more cages. Months layered. Portland rooted. The poet returned. Forgiven crunch. Nights tangled in sheets scented with patchouli and possibility. Dates evolved to dinners. Trust tentative, but tending. Carla. Retired. Emailed congrats on reinvention. Oblivious. But echoes lingered. Anomalies. Dreams of tubs. Timestamps flickering in code. One night. Air-gapped pinged. Final file from Voss. Hayes. You chose creation. But beware, variables multiply. Yours? A daughter. Fork 2040. Ultrasound image attached. Timestamp future. Heart sees mine?
Sing?
Or promise. I close the drive. Rain tapping window like applause. Reborn not once, but eternal. Mother. Maker. Maverick. Vengeance? Buried in big Sur soil. Legacy? Coding the stars. Sarah Hayes faded. Riley rose. Loops infinite but chosen. In the end, the greatest hack? Forgiving the code in yourself.